Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into the story of a master yogi you've probably never heard of, but whose work is, quite literally, the blueprint for the yoga that so many of us practice all over the world.
So think about it. Many of us have been in a yoga class, right? You've held the warrior pose, you're focused on your breath, but have you ever really stopped to wonder where the system of Hatha yoga actually comes from? I mean, who was the person who took all these ancient, kind of scattered practices and organized them into the clear step-by-step path that we follow today?
Well, it turns out the story of modern yoga really begins with one pivotal master, Guru Gorakhanath. He's the one who looked at this huge, sprawling spiritual movement and forged it into the focused, disciplined practice that we now call Hatha yoga. To really get his impact, you have to think of him less as just another yogi and more as the master architect. He's the guy who designed the very blueprint for modern yoga, a blueprint that has, amazingly, lasted for centuries. See, Gorakhanath was the key figure in organizing what's called the Natha Tradition. Before him, it was a bit all over the place. He was the one who systematized it, and he focused it on this truly radical goal, Jivan Mukti. Now, what does that mean? It's the idea of achieving total liberation, not in some afterlife, but right now, while you are still here in your physical body. Pretty wild, right? Okay, so you'd think for a guy this important, we'd know everything about him, right? Well, not so much. Trying to pin down the actual historical facts of his life is almost impossible. He's a figure who is almost completely wrapped up in myth and legend. Most experts agree he was around in the 11th or 12th centuries. And you have to understand, this was not a quiet time. It was this incredible melting pot of cultures and religions across South Asia. You had Tantra, Buddhism, Islam, all interacting. And right in the middle of all that creative chaos, Gorakhanath steps in as the great consolidator, the one who brought structure to all these swirling yogic ideas. And where was he from? Well, nobody knows for sure. Some legends say the Northwest, others say the East. But you know what's funny? The fact that we don't know where he's from is kind of the point. The legends are way more interested in his miraculous ability to rise above social and caste boundaries than they are with his hometown. What we do know is that he was a student of another legendary master, Matsyendranatha. And this is so crucial. The Natha tradition wasn't about burying your nose in ancient books. It was all about doing it. His whole training was focused on realization through direct personal practice. And that principle, it's still at the very heart of yoga today. But here's where it gets really interesting. Gorakhanath didn't just copy and paste what his teacher taught him. Oh no, he took that wisdom, he refined it, and he fundamentally reshaped it. He went from being a student to being a powerful reformer. So the legends often paint a contrast between the two. Matsyendranatha, the founder, is linked with practices that kind of embrace the world. But Gorakhanath, the systematizer, he was all about intense discipline, rigor, and renunciation. Now, this wasn't him saying his teacher was wrong, not at all. It was a strategic shift, a way to create a more focused, disciplined, and repeatable path. He was deliberately forging a path that was all about discipline, restraint, and transforming yourself from the inside out. And in doing that, he created the very foundation of Hatha yoga as we know it, a tough, systematic discipline with one ultimate purpose: liberation. Which brings us to his greatest contribution, the actual blueprint he created. And this wasn't just for the individual yogis, it was for the entire community. I mean, the guy was an organizational genius. First, he gave the Natha yogis a clear identity. Their distinct look, the famous earrings. Then, and this was huge, he completely rejected the rigid caste barriers, opening the path to literally everyone. And finally, he standardized the practices so they could actually be passed down accurately for generations. That's how you turn a movement into something that lasts. He's also credited with writing several key texts, but his real genius might be in how he communicated. He chose to write in the common languages of the people, not just elite Sanskrit. Think about how revolutionary that was. He was taking yogic philosophy out of the ivory tower and putting it directly into the hands of ordinary people. That was a total game changer. So what were these core teachings? Well, they're basically the Hatha yoga starter pack. You've got asana, the physical postures to prepare the body. You've got pranayama, the breath control techniques to manage your life force. You've got mudras, these energetic seals and gestures to direct that energy. And the whole point of all this? To awaken the kundalini, this incredible dormant spiritual energy inside you. Every single practice was just one more step toward that ultimate goal, Jivan Mukti, liberation in this very life. So, what does all this mean for us today? Well, Gorakhanath's legacy isn't something that's locked away in a dusty old manuscript. No, it is alive and breathing in millions of people all over the planet. His influence was just massive. It went way beyond yoga. That core idea that your inner realization is what really matters, more than any external ritual, it just spread like wildfire. It didn't just shape yoga. It influenced major figures like the poet Saint Kabir, and you can even see its threads in early Sikh philosophy. That's how powerful these ideas were. There's a line from our source material that just nails it perfectly. His biography is best understood as a living tradition. And that's exactly right. His story isn't just a historical account. It's a tradition that continues every single time someone steps onto a yoga mat. His real biography is being written in the continuous practice of yoga itself. So the next time you're in a yoga class, moving through the poses, just take a moment, and maybe you'll see the faint outline of the master architect who, 1,000 years ago, laid the very foundation for the practice you're doing right now.